Robert Johnson, a lone figure, guitar slung low at a dusty crossroads, midnight hour, deals with the devil. Johnson's life story is interwoven with these tales. Was he just a talented musician, or did something supernatural fuel his blues? The mystery endures, drawing us into the heart of the Delta. Johnson's story isn't just about the blues, it's about the stories we tell ourselves. How could someone so young create music so powerful, so raw, so full of emotion? It's a question that has haunted music lovers for decades. Even today, his music crackles with an eerie energy. It's the sound of longing, of pain, of a soul grappling with the darkness. Listening to Johnson's slide guitar moan and his voice crack with emotion. But behind the myths, there was a man born into poverty and hardship in the Mississippi Delta, a man who channeled his experiences into music that would change American history. Robert Leroy Johnson entered the world in 1911 in the rural South, a time and place where life was hard, especially for Black Americans. Jim Crow laws cast a long shadow, segregation was a fact of life, and opportunities were few and far between. Johnson's childhood was a tapestry woven from hardship and resilience. The illegitimate son of sharecroppers, he faced poverty and instability from a young age. Moving frequently, he absorbed the sights and sounds of the Delta, a melting pot of cultures and musical traditions. Early on, music called to him. He taught himself to play the harmonica and guitar, soaking up the sounds of local bluesmen like Son House and Willie Brown. These musicians, steeped in the rich tradition of Delta blues, became his mentors, shaping his raw talent and nurturing his love for the genre. But Johnson wasn't content to simply imitate. He yearned to carve his own path, to find his own voice within the blues idiom. This desire for innovation, coupled with an insatiable hunger to master his craft, would fuel his meteoric rise. To understand Robert Johnson, you gotta understand the Delta Blues. This wasn't just music for a Saturday night, it was the soundtrack of life, reflecting the joys, sorrows, and struggles of Black people in the South. Imagine, the sun setting over cotton fields, casting long shadows, the air thick with humidity and the sound of cicadas. And then, cutting through it all, the mournful wail of a slide guitar, the rhythmic thump of a foot keeping time on a wooden porch. Delta Blues was raw, emotional, honest. It spoke of love and loss, of hard work and hard times, of resilience in the face of adversity. It was music born from the soul of a people who knew how to turn their pain into something beautiful. And Johnson, he got it. He understood the power of the blues to express the depths of human emotion. He poured his own experiences into his music, creating songs that were both deeply personal and universally relatable. Now, about that whole devil at the crossroads thing, let's be real, the blues has always had a complicated relationship with religion. Some folks back then, they saw it as the devil's music, a dangerous temptation. But here's the thing, the blues wasn't about glorifying evil, it was about acknowledging the darkness, the struggles, the very real hardships that people faced. It was about finding a way to cope, to find a glimmer of hope in the midst of pain. And yeah, the crossroads imagery, that's powerful stuff. It speaks to the idea of choice, of crossroads in life, decisions that can lead you down different paths. It's no wonder that this imagery became intertwined with Johnson's story, adding to his mystique. But let's not forget, Johnson was a product of his time. These stories, these myths, they say as much about the society he lived in as they do about him. Section 5, Crossroads and Counterfactor Folklore. So, did Robert Johnson actually meet the devil at a crossroads? Did he trade his soul for guitar skills? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The story goes that Johnson, a decent but not exceptional musician, disappeared for a while. When he returned, his guitar playing was otherworldly, his songs filled with a newfound depth and power. The only explanation? He'd met the devil at a crossroads and made a deal. Is there any truth to it? Probably not in the literal sense, but there's no denying that something transformative happened during Johnson's mysterious absence. Maybe it was intense practice, maybe it was finding his voice, or maybe it was just the natural evolution of a gifted artist. Whatever the reason, Johnson's music took a quantum leap forward. His guitar playing became more complex, his lyrics more poetic, his voice more haunting. He tapped into something special, something that transcended mere technical skill. Section 6, Musical Mastery, Johnson's Enduring Influence. Let's talk music. Robert Johnson wasn't just playing the blues, he was pushing the boundaries of what the guitar could do. His playing was intricate, full of slide guitar licks, rhythmic drive, and a raw emotionality that was both captivating and unsettling. He sang about love, about loss, about the devil, about everyday life in the Delta, but it was more than just the subjects. It was the way he delivered those songs. His voice, sometimes rough, sometimes tender, conveyed a depth of feeling that transcended language. Johnson's influence on music is immeasurable. From blues legends like Muddy Waters and B.B. King to rock and roll pioneers like Chuck Berry and Eric Clapton, countless artists have cited Johnson as a primary inspiration. His songs have been covered by everyone from the Rolling Stones to Led Zeppelin, each artist interpreting his music through their own lens, yet never quite capturing the raw magic of the original. Section 7, the 29th song, Lost Recordings and Rediscoveries. Here's a wild fact. During his lifetime, Robert Johnson only recorded 29 songs, that's it. But those 29 songs, captured in a couple of recording sessions in 1936 and 1937, would be enough to cement his legacy as a blues giant. Imagine that. In an era before Spotify and YouTube, before music was so readily available, these 29 songs were all people had to go on, and yet they spread like wildfire, passed from musician to musician, influencing generations to come. And then in the 1960s came a rediscovery. Johnson's recordings, once obscure, were reissued and found a whole new audience. People were blown away by the raw power of his music, the intricate guitar work, the haunting lyrics. It was as if Johnson's music had been frozen in time, waiting for the world to catch up. And when it did, it sparked a renewed interest in the blues, inspiring countless musicians to explore the depths of this uniquely American art form. Robert Johnson's life was tragically cut short at the age of 27. But in those few years, he lived a life filled with music, travel, and of course love. Or at least complicated relationships with women, which, let's be honest, is pretty on brand for a blues man. These women, their names often lost to history, were more than just romantic interests. They were Johnson's muses, the inspiration for many of his most heartfelt and heartbreaking songs. Love in Vain, Kind-Hearted Woman Blues, Sweet Home Chicago. These songs are infused with longing, with passion, with the pain of love lost and the hope of finding it again. Johnson's relationships may have been fleeting, but the emotions they inspired echoed through his music, adding another layer of depth and complexity to his already rich tapestry of sound. While Robert Johnson is rightfully considered a blues icon, his influence extends far beyond the genre. His music, with its raw emotionality, innovative guitar work, and haunting lyrics, has seeped into the DNA of rock and roll, folk, and beyond. Think about it. The raw energy of the Rolling Stones, the dark poetry of Bob Dylan, the searing guitar solos of Eric Clapton, you can hear echoes of Johnson in all of them. He provided a blueprint for generations of musicians seeking to tap into the raw power of music. Johnson's impact can also be felt in the way we view the artist as a tortured soul, a mythmaker, a figure shrouded in mystery. He embodied the romantic ideal of the artist who lives fast, dies young, and leaves behind a legacy that continues to fascinate and inspire. From the cotton fields of Mississippi to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Robert Johnson's journey is a testament to the enduring power of the blues. His music, born out of hardship and struggle, has transcended time and place, becoming a universal language of the soul. Today, Johnson's music continues to resonate with listeners around the world. His songs have been covered by countless artists, his life has been the subject of books and films, and his legend continues to grow with each passing generation. Walk into any guitar store and you'll find aspiring musicians trying to unlock the secrets of Johnson's playing. His music is taught in universities, studied by scholars, and celebrated in festivals dedicated to keeping the blues alive. Robert Johnson may have left this world at a young age, but his music continues to inspire, to challenge, and to remind us of the power of human expression. So why, almost a century later, are we still talking about Robert Johnson? Why does his music continue to fascinate and inspire? Maybe it's the mystery surrounding his life, the unanswered questions, the enduring legend of the crossroads. Or maybe it's the timelessness of his music, the themes he sang about, love, loss, longing, the struggle for survival, are as relevant today as they were back then. His music speaks to something deep within the human spirit, something that transcends time and place. Whatever the reason, Robert Johnson's legacy is secure. He remains one of the most influential figures in American music, a true icon whose music continues to cast a spell over all who hear it. And who knows, maybe somewhere at a dusty crossroads his guitar can still be heard, echoing through the night, a timeless reminder of the power of the blues.